The big ship appeared in Earth's sky on a sunny Tuesday morning. It was not the first alien ship humans had seen. That had happened 30 years ago in 2150. But it was the biggest one yet. It belonged to the Galactic Federation, a group of alien races who ran most of the known universe. Taiwan stared up at the ship through his bedroom window. At 13 years old, he had only read about aliens in books and seen them on screens. Now they were coming to his home in Seoul to pick him up. Taiwan, are you ready? His mother called from downstairs. The car is waiting. He grabbed his small bag. Inside were just a few items. Some clothes, a tablet with thousands of books about Earth's history, and a small wooden tiger his grandfather had carved for him. Today, Ta-1 and 3 other Korean children would join the Galactic Academy, the first humans ever to do so. At the landing site, 3 other children waited with their families. Jae-yun, 15, stood tall and proud. She had won many sports competitions and could solve problems faster than anyone Ta-1 knew. Next to her was tiny Hyun-soo, only 10 years old but with eyes that seemed to see everything. The oldest was Do-hyun, 16, who stood protectively near the others, as if already taking charge. "Welcome, young humans," said a tall, blue-skinned alien as it walked down the ship's ramp. "I am Professor Xalti. The Galactic Federation is pleased to include Earth in our cultural exchange program." But Ta-1 noticed how Xalti's 4 eyes narrowed when looking at them, as if disappointed. "They're so fragile," whispered another alien to Xalti. This one had scales and a long tail. "Are we sure they'll survive the academy?" The Federation Council insisted. Xalti said with a sigh. Something about diversity. The children said goodbye to their families. Ta-1 hugged his mother tight. "Remember who you are," she whispered. "You carry all our stories with you." On the ship, the children were given small rooms and told to rest during the journey. But none of them could sleep. They gathered in Ta-1's room instead. "Did you see how they looked at us?" Jae-yun asked. "Like we're made of glass." Do-hyun nodded. "I heard them talking. They think we're weak." "We are weak," said Hyun-soo quietly. "Compared to them. That blue one, Xalti, could probably lift a car." Ta-1 pulled out his tablet. "Maybe physically, but humans have survived and thrived because we have other strengths." 3 days later, the ship arrived at the Academy, a massive space station bigger than any city on Earth. Thousands of young aliens from across the galaxy lived and studied there. As they walked down the hallways, the human children drew stares and whispers. "Those are humans. They don't even have armor. I heard they break if they fall down. No claws, no venom, not even extra limbs. How do they survive?" The Academy director, Veldon, a tall alien with stone-like skin, greeted them in his office. "Humans are an interesting addition to our academy. We have adjusted your schedules to account for your physical limitations." Do-hyun stepped forward. "Sir, with respect, we want to be treated like everyone else." Veldon chuckled, a sound like rocks grinding together. "Young human, our physical training would crush your bones. Our science classes require strength to handle equipment. Your species is simply not built for this environment." "Then why are we here?" Jae-yun asked. "The Federation believes in learning about all species, even the less advanced ones." Veldon handed them their schedules. "You'll start in remedial classes tomorrow. For now, rest. You look tired from your journey." As they walked to their dormitory, surrounded by alien students twice their size, Ta-1 remembered his mother's words about carrying stories. He thought about all the tales of humans facing impossible odds, of cleverness beating strength, of endurance winning over power. "They think we're weak," he said to the others. "But they don't know humans very well, do they?" Hyun-soo looked up at him with those all-seeing eyes. "They will learn," he said simply. And that night, as the 4 human children lay in their beds under an unfamiliar artificial sky, None of them knew that they were being watched, that every movement, every word, every reaction was being studied, or that they were not really part of a cultural exchange at all. They were a test, and so much depended on whether they passed or failed. Morning at the Galactic Academy came with a harsh buzzing sound. Tai-1 fell out of bed, surprised by the noise. The other human children looked just as confused as they got ready for their first day of classes. "Remember what we talked about," Do-hyun said as they walked to the dining hall. "Stay together, watch everything, learn." The dining hall was huge, filled with hundreds of alien students. Some had scales, others had fur. Some floated above their chairs, while others had many arms to hold several dishes at once. "Look at the tiny humans." The voice came from a table of large reptile-like aliens with thick gray scales and sharp teeth. Their leader, bigger than the rest, pointed at the humans and laughed. "I am Moxthor of the Krell," he said, walking over to them. "My people are warriors. What are your people?" "Snacks." The other Krell laughed loudly. Jae-yun stepped forward, but Do-hyun put a hand on her shoulder. "We're just here to learn," Tai-1 said. "Like everyone else." Moxthar snorted. "You won't last a week in physical training." Their first class was science. The teacher, a six-armed alien named Professor Zell, gave them a task: lift a heavy box of equipment and set up an experiment. "Humans, you may observe only," Professor Zell said. "The equipment is too heavy for your kind." Jae-yun frowned. "We can try." "No need for injuries on your first day," the professor said with what might have been a kind smile. "Just watch." This happened in every class. In mathematics, the problems involved moving heavy blocks to learn equations. In language studies, they had to shout to be heard over the other students. By lunchtime, the humans were frustrated. "They think we can't do anything," Jae-yun complained. "So we'll show them we can," Do-hyun said. Physical training was worst of all. The gym had higher gravity than Earth. The human children could barely stand up straight while the alien students ran, jumped, and lifted heavy weights. "Humans, simple exercises only," shouted Coach Drav, a massive four-armed instructor. Hyun-soo tried to lift a small weight but fell down. The Krell students laughed. "See, weak," Moxthar said. "They break so easily." After classes, the humans returned to their rooms, tired and sore. "This isn't fair," Jae-yun said. "They won't even let us try." Tai-1 was quiet, thinking. "Did you notice something? We move differently than they do." "What do you mean?" Do-hyun asked. "The Krell are strong but slow. The floating aliens can't change direction quickly. But humans, we're flexible. We can adapt." A soft knock came at their door. Outside stood a purple alien with 10 tentacles instead of arms or legs. "Hello," it said shyly. "I'm Lorax. I sit behind you in science class." "Come in," Ta-1 offered. Lorax entered carefully. "I wanted to say, I thought it was impressive how you solved the equation today. But I didn't get to answer anything," Jae-yun said. "I saw your notes. You found a different way to solve it than we're taught. It was creative." "Creativity," Ta-1 said, looking at the others. "That's another human strength." Lorax nodded. "The Academy teaches one way to do things, the strongest way, the fastest way, but never different ways." After Lorax left, the humans talked late into the night. "We need to show them what humans can do," Do-hyun said. "But how?" "Patience," Ta-1 suggested. "We watch and learn first. Find our advantages." In their rooms, none of them noticed the small cameras recording everything they did. In another part of the station, Director Veldon watched the footage with several scientists. "Interesting," one scientist said. "They recognize their physical disadvantages, but are looking for alternative approaches. Is this adaptability?" Another asked. "Or just desperation?" Veldon tapped his stone fingers on the desk. "Continue observation. Increase pressure tomorrow." Let's see how they handle failure. And if they succeed? A scientist asked. They won't, Valden said. But if they somehow do, that would be valuable data indeed. He turned off the screen, leaving the humans to their sleep, unaware that tomorrow would be even harder than today had been. Physical training class on the third day was the worst yet. Coach Drav had increased the gravity to twice Earth's normal level. Today we test your jumping skills, he announced. The alien students leaped over tall barriers with ease. The floating ones simply glided over. The Krell used their powerful legs to jump higher than anyone. When it was the humans' turn, they could barely walk to the starting line. Come on, soft skins, Moxthar called out. Show us what humans can do. Hyun-Soo tried first. He pushed with all his might, but only managed to jump a few inches off the ground. He fell face first onto the mat. The Krell students roared with laughter. Jae-Yun helped Hyun-Soo up. Her face was red with anger and shame. Maybe you should stick to thinking exercises, Coach Drav said. This is clearly too much for your kind. Do-Hyun tried next and did a little better, but still fell far short of the lowest barrier. Tae-Won didn't even try. He was watching how the other aliens moved, studying them. By the end of class, all 4 humans were exhausted, sore, and humiliated. This is stupid, Jae-Yun said as they dragged themselves back to their rooms. They set us up to fail. They think physical strength is everything, Do-Hyun said. That evening, the human children gathered in their common room. None of them wanted to go to dinner and face the other students. I want to go home, Hyun-Soo said quietly. Tae-Won looked at the small boy. Hyun-Soo was the youngest, the smallest, and had suffered the most teasing. We can't give up, Tae-Won said, pulling out his tablet. Humans have faced worse odds before and survived. Like what? Jae-Yun asked. Tae-Won smiled. Let me tell you a story. He began to tell them about Thermopylae, where 300 Spartan warriors stood against an army of thousands. They were outnumbered, Tae-Won explained, but they used the narrow pass to their advantage. They used their brains, not just their muscles. As he continued the story, his voice grew stronger. He described the battle in simple words but with great feeling. Soon the other children were leaning forward, caught up in the tale. None of them noticed that their door was slightly open. Outside, Lorax listened, eyes wide with wonder. So they died in the end? Do-Hyun asked when Tae-Won finished. Yes, but their sacrifice allowed the rest of Greece to prepare and eventually win the war. They used strategy to overcome a much stronger enemy. Just like we need to do, Jae-Yun said thoughtfully. Hyun-Soo's eyes shone. Tell another one. Before Tae-Won could begin, they heard a small sound at the door. Lorax tumbled into the room, looking embarrassed. I'm sorry, the purple alien said. I was passing by and heard. I didn't mean to spy. How long were you listening? Do-Hyun asked, suspicious. Long enough, Lorax said. Is it true? Did so few humans really fight so many? It's true, Tae-Won said. It's our history. We have nothing like this in our history, Lorax said. The strong always win. That's what we're taught. Not on Earth, Jae-Yun said. On Earth, sometimes it's the small and clever who win. Lorax's eyes widened. Could I hear more stories? The humans looked at each other, surprised. Of course, Tae-Won said. The next night, Lorax returned, bringing along another alien student, a small, insect-like being named Kix. I told Kix about your stories, Lorax explained. Is it okay if we both listen? Tae-Won nodded and began a new tale, this time about Greek sailors tricking a giant cyclops. As he spoke, he noticed how the aliens leaned forward, completely focused on his words. Outside the room, a small camera recorded everything. In his office, Director Valden watched with growing interest. The human is using narratives, he noted, and the other species are responding. It's just entertainment, one scientist said. No, Valden replied. Look at their brain patterns. This is something more. Something we didn't expect. He zoomed in on Tadawan's face as the boy described how cleverness defeated brute strength. Something worth studying further, Veldin said. Very much worth studying indeed. Word spread quickly through the academy. By the end of the week, the human dormitory was crowded every night. Aliens of all shapes and sizes squeezed in to hear the stories from Earth. Tell us about more human warriors, asked a spiky alien named Trill. Jai-yun smiled and stood up. Let me tell you about Admiral Yi Sun-sin, a hero from our homeland of Korea. She told them about the admiral who built special turtle ships covered in metal and spikes, how he fought against 133 enemy ships with only 13 of his own, and won. But how? Asked Kix, antenna twitching with excitement. The numbers make no sense. He was smart, Jai-yun explained. He knew the waters. He made ships that could not be burned. He thought differently than his enemies expected. The alien students whispered among themselves. This was not how they were taught to win battles. Even the shy Hyun-soo joined in, telling Korean fairy tales where small, clever characters outsmarted tigers and dragons. In this story, the tiger is very strong, Hyun-soo said in his quiet voice. But the grandmother tricks him using only persimmons and her wits. The aliens didn't know what persimmons were, but they understood the point. Cleverness could defeat strength. Do-hyun shared tales of human explorers surviving in harsh places, climbing the highest mountains, crossing burning deserts, sailing through deadly storms. Humans can't breathe underwater like the Aquari, he admitted. We can't withstand extreme heat like the Krell. But we adapt. We create tools. We endure. Each night, more alien students came. They sat on the floor, perched on furniture, or hung from the ceiling, all to hear human stories. Of course, Academy officials noticed. Professor Xalti reported the gatherings to Director Veldin. They're breaking curfew rules, Xalti complained, and spreading strange ideas. Director Veldin watched the video feed from the human dormitory. He saw dozens of alien students listening as Taiwan acted out a tale of humans fighting against machines in a future war. Let them continue, Veldin ordered. This is valuable data. But sir, the Krell students are becoming agitated. Moxthar has complained that humans are spreading lies. Are they lies? Veldin asked. Or just history that challenges Krell's superiority? The Krell were indeed angry. Moxthar and his friends stopped the humans in the hallways between classes. Your stories are making the other species soft, Moxthar growled at Taiwan. Everyone knows that victory comes through strength, not tricks. Our stories are just our history, Taiwan replied calmly. Why does that bother you? Moxthar leaned close, his scaled face inches from Taiwan's. Because they're starting to believe humans might be special. And you're not. You're just weak creatures who should have never left your planet. That evening, the scientists studying the humans had a meeting with Director Veldin. The effect is spreading, one scientist reported. Species that normally avoid each other are gathering together to hear human stories. And the performance in classes? Veldin asked. Mixed results. The humans still fail at physical tasks, but they show remarkable problem-solving skills. And now other students are starting to ask questions we've never heard before. Veldin tapped his stone fingers on the table. The Federation Council will be interested in this development. The humans aren't just adapting. They're changing how other species think. Is that dangerous? Salty asked. Perhaps, Veldin admitted. Or perhaps it's exactly what we need to study. Meanwhile, in the academy cafeteria, something new was happening. Alien students from different species were sitting together, something they had never done before. They talked excitedly about human stories and human ways of thinking. Did you hear about the tiny human ships that defeated the huge ones? A floating alien asked. Yes, and the story about humans exploring their own deep oceans without gills, another replied. Lorax, now a regular at the human storytelling sessions, noticed Moxthar watching from across the room. The Krell's eyes were narrow with anger. "The Krell don't like that you're becoming popular," Lorax warned Jaidan. "We're not trying to be popular," she said. "We're just sharing who we are." "Well, whatever you're doing," Lorax said, "it's changing things. And not everyone wants things to change." 2 weeks after the humans arrived at the academy, a loud announcement echoed through the hallways. "Attention all students. The annual survival competition will begin in 7 days. Team registration starts today." Alien students rushed to sign up. The humans watched, confused. "What's the survival competition?" Taiwan asked Lorax. "It's the biggest event of the year," Lorax explained, purple tentacles waving with excitement. "Teams of 4 enter a special training zone. They must survive for 3 days, facing many challenges. The winning team brings honor to their species. Can we join?" Jai-Yun asked. Lorax's large eyes blinked in surprise. "Humans have never competed before. The Academy says it's too dangerous for weaklings like us." Du-hyun finished. Lorax looked down. "I'm sorry. Those aren't my words." Later that day, as the humans ate lunch together, Moxthar and his Krell friends approached their table. The cafeteria grew quiet. "I hear you want to enter the survival competition," Moxthar said loudly. "How amusing." "Why is that funny?" Jai-Yun asked, standing up. Moxthar laughed. "You can barely walk in our gravity. The competition has real dangers." "We can handle it," Du-hyun said. "Prove it," Moxthar challenged. "Enter the competition. Face my team. Then everyone will see that humans are just weak creatures with good stories." The cafeteria was silent. Every alien student watched. "We accept," Taiwan said calmly. Moxthar seemed surprised but quickly smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Good. I look forward to your failure." After the Krell left, Hyun-Soo looked at Taiwan with wide eyes. "Why did you say yes? We can't win against them." "Maybe not with strength," Taiwan replied. "But remember our stories. We find different ways to win." The humans went to Director Veldon's office to register for the competition. The stone-faced director stared at them for a long moment. "Humans have never competed before," he said. "It could be dangerous for your fragile bodies." "We want to try," Du-hyun insisted. Veldon tapped his desk, thinking. Then, surprisingly, he nodded. "Very well. Your team is approved." As they left his office, the humans were puzzled. "That was too easy," Jai-Yun said. "Why would he let us compete when everyone says it's too dangerous for us?" In his office, Veldon spoke to the scientists. "Prepare special monitoring for the humans during the competition," he ordered. "This is an ideal testing situation." "Is this wise, Director?" Professor Xalti asked. "If they're seriously injured." "The Federation Council wants data on human adaptability under extreme pressure," Veldon interrupted. "This competition will provide exactly that." For the next week, the humans prepared as best they could. They exercised to build strength. They studied past competitions. Most importantly, they planned. "The Krell will use brute force," Du-hyun said. "We need to be smarter." Other alien students started offering help. Lorax taught them about the competition's usual challenges. Kix showed them how to identify safe plants and water sources. Even a tall, silent alien named Voom demonstrated techniques for moving quietly through different terrains. The night before the competition, the human dormitory was quiet. Everyone was too nervous to talk much. Hyun-Soo sat on his bed, hugging his knees. "I'm scared," he admitted. The others gathered around him. "It's okay to be scared," Taiwan said, "but fear can make us careful." "Smart." Hyun-Soo looked up. "Can I tell a story tonight? A Korean story my grandmother told me." The others nodded, and Hyun-Soo began to tell the tale of the tiger and the persimmon. There was once a tiger who wanted to eat a woman and her child. he said softly. The woman was terrified but pretended not to be. When her baby cried, she said, "Don't cry or the tiger will get you." Then she gave the baby a persimmon fruit. The tiger, who was listening outside, became afraid. He thought, "What is a persimmon? It must be something terrible if it scares a crying child." The tiger ran away, tricked by his own fear and imagination. When Hyun-soo finished, the room was quiet. "That's perfect," Jae-yun said finally. Sometimes the strongest enemy can be defeated by fear and clever thinking. None of them knew that tomorrow they would need every story, every lesson, and every bit of human cleverness they possessed, because the competition had been changed just for them, and it was going to be much more dangerous than anyone had told them. The morning of the competition arrived. 20 teams from different species gathered in a large hangar. The humans stood together, looking small next to the other competitors. Director Valden stepped onto a platform. "Welcome to the annual survival competition. You will be transported to the training zone, a controlled environment that simulates a Class 3 hostile planet. Your goal is to survive for 3 days and reach the extraction point. Good luck to all." The teams entered small transport ships. As the doors closed, Taiwan noticed Academy staff attaching extra monitoring devices to their ship. The journey was short. When the doors opened, the humans stepped out into a strange world. The sky was orange. Twisted trees with blue leaves covered the hills. 2 small suns hung in the sky. "Everyone remember the plan," Do-gyun said. "We stick together. We use our brains, not our muscles." A loud horn sounded, and the competition began. The Krell team immediately charged ahead, pushing smaller aliens out of the way. Other teams spread out in different directions. "They're all running," Jae-yun said. "Should we run too?" Taiwan shook his head. "No. Running wastes energy. We walk and observe." The gravity here was closer to Earth's, which helped the humans move more easily. They followed a small stream, looking for the safest path through the strange landscape. By midday, they had found a good source of water and some fruit that Kix had taught them was safe to eat. "We're doing okay," Hyun-soo said, smiling for the first time in days. From their monitoring station, Director Valden and the scientists watched all teams through cameras hidden throughout the zone. "The humans are moving slower than the others," one scientist noted. "But they found water and food faster," another pointed out. "They're being methodical." Valden nodded. "Interesting approach. Let's see how they handle the first challenge." As evening approached, the temperature dropped quickly. The humans gathered wood and built a small fire, something they had learned in Earth survival classes. "No other team has made fire yet," Jae-yun said proudly. They sat in a circle, warming themselves. In the distance, they could hear strange animal cries. "What's that?" Hyun-soo asked, moving closer to Do-hyun. "Probably the first challenge," Taiwan said. "We should take turns keeping watch tonight." As darkness fell, the cries grew louder. Then the humans saw them, glowing eyes in the darkness, surrounding their camp. "Stay calm," Do-hyun whispered. "The fire will keep them back." But the creatures came closer, 6-legged predators with sharp teeth and scaly skin. They growled as they approached the light. "They're not afraid of fire," Jae-yun said. Taiwan thought quickly. "The stories. Remember how humans used to scare away wolves and bears?" He stood up and began to shout and wave his arms. The others joined in, making as much noise as possible. The creatures hesitated, confused by the strange behavior. "It's working," Hyun-soo cried. But the largest creature leaped forward anyway. Jae-yun grabbed a burning stick from the fire and swung it at the animal. It jumped back with a yelp. For an hour, the humans fought to keep the creatures away. They shouted, waved burning sticks, and threw rocks. Finally, the predators retreated into the darkness. The humans collapsed around the fire, exhausted but alive. "We did it," Do-hyun said, his voice filled with wonder. In the monitoring room, the scientists were buzzing with excitement. "Remarkable," one exclaimed. "The Krell team lost one member to the night predators. The floaters fled to the trees, but the humans actively drove them away, using fire as a weapon," another noted. "No other team thought of that." Director Veldon watched the screens showing other teams. Some were hiding. Some had fought and lost members. The Krell were angry, having retreated to a rocky area. But the human team sat together around their fire. And then something unexpected happened. Taiwan began telling a story. A tale of human explorers surviving in the Arctic cold. The others listened, their faces lit by the firelight. "What is he doing?" a scientist asked. "Why tell stories now?" Veldon leaned forward, fascinated. "I believe," he said slowly, "they are using their stories to maintain courage, to remind themselves they can survive." Through the night, other teams heard strange sounds from the human camp, voices rising and falling, sometimes laughing, sometimes serious. And the predators did not return to their fire. In the morning, when all teams continued their journey, the humans were tired but unharmed. And strangely, their spirits seemed higher than any other team. The second day of the competition had begun. The second day of the competition brought new challenges. The two suns blazed hotter, making the strange landscape shimmer with heat. The humans walked along the stream, saving their energy. Jai-yun marked their path on a small map she had drawn. "The extraction point should be beyond those hills," she said, pointing ahead. As they walked, Hyun-soo stopped suddenly, looking at a strange plant. Its leaves were moving, even though there was no wind. "Wait," he said. He bent down and looked closer at the ground. "Something's not right." The others gathered around. Hyun-soo pointed to a small metal object half buried in the dirt. "What is that?" Do-hyun asked. Hyun-soo carefully brushed away the dirt. "It's a camera. And look, there's another one in that tree." The humans looked around. Now that they knew what to look for, they could see tiny cameras everywhere. "They're watching us," Taiwan said, "more than just for the competition." Jai-yun frowned. "I think this whole place is fake. It's not just a training zone. It's a laboratory." Do-hyun looked angry. "They're not testing our survival skills. They're testing us, humans." As this realization sank in, they heard a cry for help. Following the sound, they found Lorax trapped in a pit of sticky mud, purple tentacles struggling to pull free. "My team left me," Lorax explained after the humans helped pull them out. "When I fell in, they said I was slowing them down." "You can come with us," Jai-yun offered. Taiwan took Lorax aside. "Can I ask you something? Did you know this competition was really about studying humans?" Lorax's large eyes blinked rapidly. I knew the Academy collects data on all species, but I didn't know humans were special targets. I swear." As they continued walking, the sky suddenly darkened. Strange lightning flashed between purple clouds. "Storm coming," Do-hyun said. "We need shelter." They found a cave in the hillside and huddled inside just as heavy rain began to fall. The downpour was so strong it created rivers of mud outside. "This doesn't feel right," Jai-yun said, watching the storm. "It started too suddenly." Hyun-soo nodded, like someone turned it on. In the control room, Director Veldon and the scientists watched the humans on their screens. "They've discovered the monitoring devices," one scientist reported. "And they've taken in the Tentaclian student that the others abandoned," another added. Veldon tapped a button. "Increase environmental difficulty. Let's see how they handle extreme conditions." A scientist looked worried. "Sir, the storm is already at dangerous levels for humans." "The Federation Council wants comprehensive data," Veldon replied. "Continue the test." Back in the cave, the humans and Lorax listened to the howling wind. Taiwan shared food with everyone. "I have a question," Lorax said. "In your stories, when humans face big problems, how do they really feel? Are they never afraid?" "Of course we're afraid," Ta-One answered. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you keep going anyway. Suddenly, they heard a cry from outside. Through the rain, they saw a figure stumbling near the edge of a newly formed river of mud. It was Moxthar. He'll be swept away, Hyun-Soo cried. Do-Hyun hesitated only a moment before running out into the storm. The others followed, forming the human chain. The mud pulled at their legs, trying to drag them down. Grab my hand, Do-Hyun shouted to Moxthar. The Krell student looked shocked. Why would you help me? Because that's what humans do, Do-Hyun yelled over the storm. Moxthar reached out, and together they pulled him to safety. Inside the cave, the Krell student sat away from the others, confused. Where is your team? Jae-Yun asked him. They left, Moxthar said quietly. When I fell behind, they said only the strongest deserve to win. That's not how humans think, Ta-One said. We believe in no one left behind. Why? Moxthar asked. It makes no sense. The weak slow down the strong. Because any of us could be the one who falls, Ta-One explained. And when that happens, we want others to help us too. In the control room, the scientists watched in silence. They saved their rival, one whispered, after everything he did to them. Director Valden stood up. Initiate final testing protocol. A red light flashed on the control panel. Sir, a scientist asked, that protocol is only for... The Federation Council needs to know what humans will do when truly threatened, Valden interrupted. Proceed. In the cave, the storm suddenly stopped. The silence was strange after so much noise. That's not normal, Lorax said, tentacles twitching nervously. Then they heard it, a low rumble that grew louder. The ground began to shake. Earthquake, shouted Jae-Yun. But Hyun-Soo looked at the others, his eyes wide with understanding. Not an earthquake, he said. They're changing the game. The ground shook harder. Rocks fell from the cave ceiling. We need to get out, Do-Hyun shouted. They ran outside just as the cave collapsed behind them. The landscape had changed. The hills were now steep mountains. The small stream was a wide, rushing river. This isn't part of the competition, Lorax said, trembling. Something's wrong. Suddenly, all their communication devices made a loud beep. A message appeared. System malfunction. Evacuation protocol activated. Proceed to any ARESTEMERG. Is this real or another test? Jae-Yun wondered. Look, Hyun-Soo pointed to the sky. The orange sky was turning dark in patches, like holes appearing in a painting. The simulation is breaking down, Moxthar said. This is dangerous, even for Krell. They heard screams in the distance. Other teams were in trouble. We need to help them, Ta-One said. Moxthar stared at him. Why risk ourselves for others? Because that's what humans do, Ta-One replied. Come with us or go alone. Your choice. To their surprise, Moxthar followed as they headed toward the screams. In the control room, chaos had erupted. Red lights flashed everywhere. What's happening? Director Valden demanded. Someone has overridden our systems, a scientist explained frantically. The simulation is collapsing, and an explosion rocked the control room. It's not just the simulation, another scientist cried. The whole station is experiencing failures. Valden's stone face showed real concern now. Who would do this? And why? A communication officer looked up from her screen. Sir, I've intercepted messages between members of the Security Council. Some of them want to eliminate the human subjects. What? Valden was shocked. On what grounds? The data shows humans are more adaptive and influential than expected. Some council members consider them a potential threat to the galactic order. In the simulation zone, the humans found several alien students trapped by fallen trees. Working together, they freed them. Stay with us, Jae-Yun told the scared aliens. We'll find a way out together. More students joined their group as they moved through the changing landscape. The humans led the way, making quick decisions when new dangers appeared. The exit should be this way, Taiwan said, consulting Jai-yun's map. As they walked, Jai-yun told stories about Earth guerrilla fighters who survived in jungles and mountains against stronger enemies. They moved quietly, used the land to their advantage, and worked together, she explained. The alien students listened carefully and began copying the humans' cautious movements. Meanwhile, Hyun-soo noticed small maintenance tunnels hidden in the rock walls. These might lead out, he said. The tunnels were tight, especially for the larger aliens, but they squeezed through. Hyun-soo led the way, his small size now an advantage. After an hour of crawling through dark tunnels, they emerged into a service corridor of the academy. We're out of the simulation, Do-hyun said, but something's still wrong. Emergency lights flashed in the corridors. They could hear alarms in the distance. The academy is on lockdown, Lorax explained. This only happens during major emergencies. We need to find the other students and get help, Taiwan said. As they moved through the corridors, they found more students confused and afraid. Soon, the humans were leading more than 30 alien students from different species. Why are we following humans? One alien asked. Because they know what to do, Moxthar answered, surprising everyone. They don't panic. They help each other. Do-hyun organized the group, smaller ones in the middle for protection, strongest ones on the outside. We stay together. As they rounded a corner, they found Director Veldon leaning against a wall, injured. His stone skin was cracked, and he was losing the glowing liquid that was his blood. Director, Lorax cried. What happened? Sabotage, Veldon groaned. Some Federation Council members, they think humans are dangerous, want to eliminate them. Do-hyun stepped forward to help the injured director. Why would you help me? Veldon asked weakly. I put you in danger. Because that's what humans do, Do-hyun said, supporting Veldon's weight. We don't leave people behind. Not even those who hurt us. Veldon's glowing eyes studied Do-hyun's face. Perhaps that is why they fear you. What do we do now? Hyun-soo asked. Taiwan looked at their group. Humans, Krell, Tentaclians, floaters, and many other species, all working together. We need to reach the communication center, he said. We need to tell everyone what's really happening here. For the first time since arriving at the academy, the humans weren't being tested. They were leading. The group moved quickly through the academy's corridors. Alarms blared. Emergency lights flashed red. The communication center is 2 levels up, Lorax said. Veldon, still injured but able to walk with Do-hyun's help, added, there will be guards. They have orders to stop the humans. Why are they so afraid of us? Jai-yun asked. We're just kids. Because you change things, Veldon replied. Humans don't just adapt, you make others adapt too. Your stories spread ideas that challenge the way our societies work. On the main screen, they saw a large chamber where alien leaders argued loudly. One tall, silver-skinned alien was speaking. The data is clear. These humans, even their young, show dangerous levels of influence over other species. Their stories challenge our natural order. If we allow humans into the galactic community, nothing will be the same. Another council member responded, but the data also shows they value cooperation over domination. Their first instinct was to help others, not control them. That is even more dangerous. The silver alien shouted. They will make us soft, question our ways. Taiwan turned to the others. We need to send our own message. Show them what really happened. Hyun-soo, who had been quietly examining the control panels, spoke up. I think I can do it. These controls are similar to Earth computers. While Hyun-soo worked, Taiwan gathered the alien students. We need to tell what you've learned from humans, he explained. Not just our stories, but what they meant to you. On the other side of the station, a ship docked urgently. Human diplomats had arrived after receiving emergency signals from the Academy. "Our children are in danger," the human ambassador demanded. "Take us to them immediately." Meanwhile, Hyun-soo had succeeded. "We're connected. We can broadcast to the whole station and the council." Taiwan stepped in front of the camera. Behind him stood aliens of all shapes and sizes, former enemies now standing together. "My name is Taiwan. I'm a human from Earth. You think we're weak because we can't lift heavy things or survive extreme temperatures without help, but that's exactly why humans are strong." He gestured to the group behind him. "Because we need help, we learn to work together. Because we're physically weak, we learn to use our minds. Because we're vulnerable, we understand the value of protecting each other." One by one, the alien students spoke. "Humans taught me that being different doesn't mean being enemies," Lorax said. "I learned that helping others makes everyone stronger," said a floating alien. Even Moxthar stepped forward. "I believe strength was all that mattered. The humans proved me wrong when they saved me after my own team abandoned me." In the council chamber, the argument stopped as they watched the broadcast. Then, something unexpected happened. Other broadcasts began coming in from across the galaxy, places where previous human visitors had been. The human doctors saved our planet from disease. Human traders showed us fair exchange benefits everyone. Human music and art have given us new ways to express ourselves. The council chamber fell silent. On the Academy station, the doors to the communication center opened. Human diplomats rushed in, followed by scientists carrying data pads. "We've completed our analysis of human influence," one scientist announced to everyone. "Humans don't make other species weaker. They create connections between different groups. They find common ground where we saw only differences." 3 months later, the 4 human children returned to Earth as heroes and ambassadors. The Federation had established a new, genuine cultural exchange program. Human stories were being translated into dozens of alien languages. At a special ceremony in Seoul, Taiwan, Jae-hyun, Do-hyun, and Hyun-soo received medals for their courage. After the ceremony, they found a surprise visitor waiting, Moxthar, wearing formal Krell diplomatic clothing. "I have been sent as the first Krell student to study on Earth," he explained awkwardly. "I requested to be placed near you for. We'd be happy to show you around," Taiwan said with a smile. That evening, they sat together under the stars. Hyun-soo's grandmother had prepared a traditional Korean meal for everyone. "Your planet is beautiful," Moxthar said, looking up at the night sky. "Will you tell me more of your stories? I want to understand." Taiwan smiled. "Of course. But first, we want to hear yours. That's the human way. We learn from each other." And as the stars shone overhead, human and alien sat together, sharing stories that would change both their worlds forever. They had thought human kids were weak, until the stories started. Now they understood. In stories lay a different kind of strength, one that could unite a galaxy.